Hi, I'm Shannon Giordano, Director of Marketing for Fertility Planet. Thank you for joining us for top tips for obtaining insurance coverage for fertility treatments. What do you do when insurance turns you down for fertility treatment coverage? Davina Fankhauser of Fertility Within Reach will share with you today her wealth of expertise in understanding what you need to do to arm yourself and your employer to help get the coverage you need. Davina Fankhauser, co-founder and president of Fertility Within Reach, is the foremost expert on policy related to benefits for fertility treatment and preservation. She advises patients and professionals how to effectively communicate with insurers, employers, and legislators to increase access to health benefits. Davina and Fertility Within Reach's research-based information are sought after by both patients and medical professionals. Thank you to our attendees for joining us today. Please share your views and continue the conversation with us by asking a question in the chat box or by tweeting to us at @FertilityPlanet. Go to fertilityplanet.com to find more information on speakers and to book appointments with many of them. We'd love to hear from you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Fertility Planet partner Davina Fankhauser, co-founder and president of Fertility Within Reach.
Thank you, Shannon. I am very honored and excited to partner up with Fertility Planet. I appreciate you continuing this conversation even after this webinar. Fertility Within Reach was created to help patients access infertility benefits. We know it is not easy to advocate for yourself if it's not something that comes naturally to you. So we really wanted to break it down and make it as simple as possible, but also to help you be as effective as possible. So we do have some top tips for obtaining insurance coverage for infertility treatment, and I'm happy to share those with you. So the first one that I can think of is really understanding your needs. This is going to involve talking to your doctor, finding out exactly what treatment you're going to need in the near future. Do you need to have a surgery? Do you need to have intrauterine insemination or IVF? And if you need IVF, are you going to need genetic testing in addition? You know, everybody's situation is different, and the idea is to really try to pinpoint what it is you're going to need as best as possible. And then you look at your insurance benefits, or you ask your employer if you can review your benefits, or you just call the insurance company. If you're a little too embarrassed to talk to the HR department, you can contact the insurance company and say, could you please send me a copy of my benefits? But you not only want to see the benefits, but what their guidelines are, which say you have to meet this criteria in able to receive these benefits. So for example, someone might have coverage for infertility including up to $15,000, and it might also include IVF. But they have certain guidelines, like you must be under the age of 42, or you have health tests that are under a certain number. These things are really important for you to identify if you will be able to or to help you determine which way you would approach to get benefits. So once you really understand what your needs are, then you're going to try to strategize the most effective way to get benefits. So you have options, and a lot of people don't realize how many options they really have. You can decide, are you going to communicate directly with the insurance company? Are you going to talk to your employer? Are you going to reach out to a legislator? So here are some ways that you can do these things. When you talk to an insurance company, you're either in the situation where you have benefits but they don't want to cover you for some reason. You have benefits but it's not enough for what you need. You don't have any benefits whatsoever. So your options are, you can either appeal if they've ever denied you benefits, or if you don't have any coverage, you can ask for a predetermination of benefits or ask them to make an exception. Basically, it's asking, you're saying, I know I don't have any benefits, but I'd like you to make an exception, and here's why. And that can be true with your employer. You can actually go to your employer and either talk for the greater good of everybody in your company, or ask them and say, hey, you don't have to cover for everybody, but this is my situation. Here's the reason why it would be effective and a good idea for you to cover it. Or you can go to them and say, would you write a letter on my behalf and submit it to the insurance company? There are lots of things that you can do with your employer. And with the legislator, it's very similar, where you can ask them to support legislation, to be against legislation. We even worked with a woman who talked to her state senator, and he called her insurance company for her and spoke on her behalf. So there are lots of options that people don't even realize they have. Once you strategize, which one is the best for you? Which is the best option? Some people have a great relationship with their employer and their HR department, and they feel very comfortable doing that. Other people feel really motivated to take on the insurance company, and they go that route. And some people, it's a combination of everything. So you're really kind of identifying which option you want to pursue, and then you can also decide how you work that out if you have a partner. So for example, your strength might be in writing letters, and they might have a strength in talking to people on the phone. And you can kind of split up the duties that you do to take this on to try to get benefits. And the truth is, it does take some of your time to advocate for yourself, to try to gain benefits. But if you think about it, if the IVF cycle were to cost $12,000, and you put, even if you put 12 hours into it, which most people don't, but if you did put 12 hours into advocating for yourself, that's $1,000 an hour that you're investing in. I think the people that I've talked to and that have gone forward and that they've received benefits, they feel it's more than worth their time. So then a third tip is really communicating effectively. It's not just what you say, it's also how you say it. And an example of that is it really is strong with all of these policymakers. And when I talk about policymakers, I'm talking insurers, employers, and legislators. For example, insurers, they like to see costs. What is the cost that they're going to have to pay out? What is the cost that they will save by providing these benefits? And when you provide information to them, they like to see research-based. So if you get your doctor to write a letter for you saying, this person is an excellent candidate for infertility treatment, well, they already have a medical policy director that has said you may not be an ideal candidate, or that benefits are not meant for you. So when you ask your doctor to write a letter, you want to have some sort of data or study that supports your case, that proves that you have a greater than a 5% chance of live birth. That number is really important to the insurance companies. So you talk about cost savings to them, that that you won't necessarily need the mental health benefits you might be taking advantage of, or you might not need an extra surgery, or having IVF. There's actually a study that shows going straight to IVF rather than doing IUIs first and then IVF saves insurance companies money in the long run. So depending upon your individual case, whether it's a specific medical condition or just IVF benefits in general, there's lots of research out there to support your conversations. So you want to utilize those resources. Employers also want to see costs, because they want to know that it's not going to break their company to provide this benefit for their employees. And you want to make it as simple as possible for them. So to be an effective communicator, there are studies to show other employers have offered it, and they find it to be a benefit to their company and to their employees. And then there are also sample benefits that you can show them, so they can have things to consider and see what has worked for others. Companies can be very competitive, and so that's one of the things nowadays is companies as a perk to new employees or to maintain quality employees, they want to have really good benefits. And you have an opportunity to either speak to them individually or as a greater group, to help a greater group to provide benefits. There was a woman that we helped who, she had a genetic condition, and every time she would get pregnant, she would miscarry, she would have to have a D&E, which also was a cost to the insurance company. So she went to her employer, explained the situation, and said she really needed to do IVF with donor egg in order to have a safe pregnancy and have a healthy baby. And the employer decided to offer her, they paid for her to be able to do IVF with donor egg, and she's actually had her baby now. So you never know until you ask. And then legislators, they really want you to be as direct and specific as possible. What do you want from them? And then once they know what you want, you need to help them be a champion. You need to give them the information so they can talk to their colleagues and the other legislators and say, this is really important and here's why. Or to call your insurance company and say, this is crazy why you don't offer this to people. And they actually will, because they love their constituents. Not everyone will, but if you have good sound arguments and you make it very easy for them to support and defend your position, you're more likely going to get their cooperation. And what I've learned from lobbying is that one phone call from you, if you don't feel comfortable going and visiting them or writing them a letter, one phone call means as much as 200 of those rote letters. And a rote letter is where every letter starts with the same paragraph, because they recognize it. They're like, oh, this paragraph. And they don't know that it's from their specific constituent naturally or necessarily. So they often throw those letters away, or they just don't put as much weight to them. But your phone call, your email, you letting them know you are their constituent and this is what you need from them, they hear you and they want to help. So Fertility Within Reach has all this information for you. We have resources for you to use and for your doctor to take advantage of. So you're able to contact us and see this information online. It's available to you for free. We want to make sure that you're as effective as possible. So really the final step is, once you've understood your needs, you strategized, you're making sure you have effective communication, you just really develop a plan. And the reason why is all of this can seem like a lot. It can seem very overwhelming. But if you have a plan, you go step by step, it really breaks it down and you see it's really doable and it's not as overwhelming as you think it is or as you might fear it would be. And so you learn what your needs are, you identify what your options are, you make your choices, what fits best with you, you become prepared, you get as much information from resources as possible, you utilize the resources that are available to you, whether it's from our organization, another organization, and then you take action. If you don't take action, none of this is going to happen. It may help you emotionally knowing that you've taken steps and that you've really tried to advocate, but you won't know that answer until you make that step. And we just hope you know you're not alone when you go to take that step, that there is support out there for you, and that we've seen this happen over and over again, and we know it's possible for you. So we really hope that you take advantage of the information that's available for you, because you can obtain the insurance coverage you need to get fertility treatment.
Thank you so much, Davina. We've got some great questions coming in, too. Jennifer has asked, what does a patient do if they face a time constraint and need to pay out of pocket for a treatment? Do you have advice on that?
Well, the question, I guess, is, can they afford to pay out of pocket? Are they able to take a loan? And is it worth the risk to them? I recently helped a couple where they were getting older, and so they felt the need to, do the treatment and not wait for an insurance appeal to go through, because the insurance companies say they have, they might have 60 business days or so forth to respond, and the patients don't want to wait or don't feel they can wait that long. So this couple did pay out of pocket, but they still appealed, and they actually just emailed me and let me know they heard from the insurance company, they won their appeal, they were being reimbursed for their cycle. The money actually goes to the clinic, and then the clinic will give the check to the patient for the reimbursement. But if you can afford to pay out of pocket, and it really seems like you have an excellent, a good chance of winning, then if you can go for it, go for it. And whether you temporarily take a loan or do some crowd, whatever it is, it's possible to get reimbursed.
That's great. Yeah, it's a great situation that you have there too, as an example. We also got a question from Twitter about what options do patients have if they receive a denial to their request for benefits? What should they do first?
So if they receive a denial, I think the question then is to really go back and talk to your doctor and find out, is my doctor willing to go to bat for me? Are they willing to write a letter? Can we, or to reach out to Fertility Within Reach or someone and say, is there anything out there that would support the fact that I'm a good candidate for this, and that this is, beneficial to me and to the insurance company, because that's what they want to hear. Almost like you're a good investment. So you talk to your doctor, find out what the reality is, talk to other resources. Is there information out there to support you? And you can, so if they deny you, you can appeal. If they deny an appeal, then you can actually go to your state. If you feel that the insurance company did something wrong or inappropriate, you can file a complaint with the state, with like the Division of Insurance or Department of Insurance, whatever your state calls it. And then you can also go through like your Division of Public Health or Department of Public Health and ask for an external appeal. And that means an insurer from a completely outside company, a medical professional will review your case. They'll review everything that the insurance company has said, and they make a decision, and then that's supposed to be binding. So, and what I'm seeing over and over again is even if people are denied their appeal from the insurance company, once they go to external appeal, they're actually approved. And so that's actually a good thing overall, because at least in Massachusetts, I met with the Department of Public Health, and they said the more external appeals that get overruled, then they look at the insurance company's guidelines altogether and see if something needs to be changed. They review if something's unfair. So when you do file an external appeal, it not only can help you personally, but it helps the infertility population in general who is seeking to get benefits.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I think we have time for one final question. So where can people find more information? Is there more information on your website that they can, this is sort of my question, not the final question, but can they find more information about this on your website if they want to follow up?
Absolutely. So on our website, there's a menu item that says Empower Yourself. And there are options for communicating with your physician, your insurer, your employer, your legislator. There are step-by-step instructions, like a checklist of what you can do. And then we also have, on our homepage, if you sign up for our newsletter, you can get a copy of the Policymaker's Guide to Infertility Health Benefits. And that is something that we created based on research. We went out and we did research with employers, insurers, and legislators and said, what information do you need to know to support infertility benefits? They gave it to us. We put it together in this toolkit, and that's what we give patients to use in their communication and what we use ourselves when we meet with policymakers. So it's all there on the website, free for patients. And then if patients want additional help, like if they really want somebody to spend extra time with them, read their letters, you know, some people I help for hours, and that's fine. And then, you know, those services are available as well. And you can learn about that. Sorry. I was just saying you can learn about that on the website.
Excellent. That one final question that came in from Drew by chat, he asks, do you see greater success with one method of trying to get reimbursed than others? I mean, is it better to go through your employer or better to go directly to the insurance, or is it really very different in each case?
I think it's very different in each case. Everybody knows what their own environment is. You know, I think what you do with one employer may not be the recipe with another. Maybe you have bad history with your HR team. It just may not be necessary to involve the HR, but if you can, I think that's definitely a plus. I think the more support you have around you, the better your chances are and the greater awareness that this creates. I think if you can get a strong letter from your doctor, if you have research in your letters, if the insurance company denies you, if you go to an external appeal, you're going to have an even better chance of winning because you've gone to the lengths of showing data of why you're a good candidate. And so taking steps like that really do make a difference, but it does depend, I think, on the person's situation and what insurance company they're dealing with or what their employer is like.
Thank you so much, Davina. This has been really enlightening. I think we're really excited to be able to share this information. Thanks also to our audience for joining us. Please share your views and continue the conversation with Davina. We end this webinar today with all of the ways you can connect with Davina Fankhauser and Fertility Within Reach and Fertility Planet, and we encourage you to keep the conversation going. Thank you.
Thank you.